Hey, what's up, homies? Welcome back to another episode of Housekeeping, and today we are talking about the power of believing in your own product. So, why do I bring up the power of belief, especially when it comes to your own product? Let me share a little story with you. Back in the day, when I first started Get Home Safe, that was in about 2019. We did about 23 events of mental health outreach in the city of DC and Philly at the time. Within these events that we did when it came to mental health outreach, we were big on throwing events in terms of folks could come through, party, grab a drink, and we had therapists of color that folks could shop for. Had a couple of men and women who we worked with, and they were dedicated therapists in their own right, outside of being in and out of the office. And this was before the period of heavy content creation when it came to doing work online. Who you can help, what does outreach look like? Most folks were just like, hey, I'm a therapist, and that was about it. So at that time, when we put these events together, we were very big on, what's the community that we're serving, or what are we seeing that's missing in the community? So before a lot of all of these online apps where folks can shop for their therapists, or all these advertisements when it came to getting therapy wasn't as normalized in 2019. So what we did was we changed the context of what does it look like to look for help? What does it look like to have the discussion of mental health? And what does it look like to reach out to people who you may not have known you needed to reach out to, and what can they do for you? Within that time, I think we got about 55 or so folks into therapy, in terms of those who are curious, in terms of those getting a chance to have a conversation with a therapist and be heard. And we also had to change the context of what discussions are people allowed to have and what discussions are people not allowed to have. The reason that's important is because before a lot of this mental health outreach, before we started adding wellness to the platform, we knew that the community had a concern of what is health? How is that defined? What are the resources? Who do these folks look like? Are you allowed to have the number of therapists after? And if this therapist isn't the right fit for you, what does it look like to reach out to other people? Since then, a lot of people that have reached out to us from back in the day, they sometimes spin the block. They sometimes reach back to us and say, hey man, how are you doing? I'm glad to see that you're still making content. I really appreciate the work that you've done. And because you've created content when it comes to mental health, and because you've normalized the discussion around mental health, I can talk to my family members about, hey, I may need help. I can talk to my loved ones who don't understand what mental health is, but if they don't understand it when I talk to them, we could just point them towards your content, the conversations that you've made, and the events that you've put together as proof that there's people out here that are trying to make a difference when it comes to the community. So the reason I talk about the power of belief is when we first started doing the work that we did, we were really big on, hey, we're going to be feeling around in the dark. We're going to be doing mental health outreach without the backing of hospitals. We're going to explore the relationships that we do have, and we're going to start to slowly build a platform and see, is there a voice that needs to be had when it comes to mental health and outreach? Now, fast forward to presently, it's November right now, November 2023. I have a product that I had dropped last year that wasn't really huge per se. I think we had about 50 units of sale altogether, and I'm bringing back the product. And this product is titled Bad Bitches United. When I first came up with the concept, I noticed that a lot of the men, especially coming out of the pandemic, they were admiring, how women were taking care of themselves, the upkeep, having communities around themselves, working on that community, of course, little things like when they go into the bathroom, coming out, this random girl told me I'm beautiful, and men don't really have that concept down packed. So when I came up with the concept itself, I was letting them know, hey, you too can be a bad bitch, but what does that look like? What does practicing the habits of someone who really cares about themselves look like? What does building a community around that concept look like? And why are we as men missing out on this concept and on this opportunity and not doing everything that we can to really build with each other? And what does that look like? Do you have the right people around you? Are you in practice or out of practice? Do you know what support looks like for you as a man or as a person, or are you just admiring what the other person or the other party has that you happen to not have? And within that, it was just beautiful seeing other men admitting, hey, you know what, I am a bad bitch. It was beautiful seeing other men say, you know what, I do need more community and support. It was really inspiring seeing men admit that they didn't, they're not supporting their friends like they would like to be supported. And in that practicing of not really supporting their friends, only picking up the phone to like catch up, but not really seeing it through to check in on their day to day or be there for them in emergencies or just facilitate hanging out and creating opportunities for folks to ask for advice or anything else like that. That as much as they wanted folks to support them, they realized that they were going to have to give folks support. So now we're on the tail end of 2023 and I'm bringing back the product of these hoodies. And what I've done when it came to one of my particular jobs that I work at nighttime, especially on the weekends, because I have an extensive background of working a couple establishments that I used to run over here in DC on the east side, east coast, of course, that instead of pitching or letting it be known that, hey, I have a product for sale, I was like, hey, how about I just wear the product? And of course, there's always pushback. When you are a smaller business and you put your money and time into creating a product, a lot of folks look at what's sold when it comes to like Target or what's sold when it comes to like, let's say a Marshall's, and they feel that, hey, this thing is overpriced. But the best piece of advice someone ever gave me is when you have a product that you believe in, it's not your job to make it cheaper, just make it better. Does the product feel great? Is the messaging exactly what you say it is? Is the campaign that you present it as, does this campaign actually exist? What are you doing in order to not only reinforce the message, but do you wholeheartedly embrace this message that you're putting together and the people that may be paying attention to it? Within these past 2 Fridays and Saturdays, I have about 70 customers that are super excited for when we do this release in 2 weeks. I have 3 photo shoots that we're going to be lining up from now until basically the middle of February. And I have a lot of folks that are going to be represented when it comes to these shoots. It's going to be cis men, cis women, LGBTQIA folks are going to be mixed in there. We're going to have some people that may want to do some sit downs and really talk about the campaign itself and how that has helped them and how that's changed their life. And for me, my job is to believe in the product. My job is to believe in the community. My job is to put myself in position to not only fail, but also succeed, and not only succeed, but also fail. It's my job to look at what I'm doing or what my team and I may not be doing. And, how do we figure out ways to put ourselves back in what we need to do or who we need to be for the things that we're bringing back out. If I stopped doing this work that I did when it comes to like creating merch, creating messages, coming up with campaigns, coming up with events built around those campaigns, and not really seeing things through and not aligning myself with the right people, it would just be another day for me to quit. And why would I do that when we've already made such a difference up to this point? It's currently 2023. We started everything in 2019. We've gone about 245 people into therapy with the work that we've done so far, and we have a lot more articles of clothing that's coming through, a lot more moments to believe in ourselves, and a lot more moments to put myself in position to be doubted as we succeed and figure things out, or put myself in position to succeed and trip here a couple of times here and there, and then figure out what did I do, what could I have done better, and then just execute that. So this coming November 2019, we have a mental health and wellness event that we're doing for the year. This event's going to be my last event for the year. I've done a couple of speaking engagements. I've engaged with 4 different communities within DC, especially this year, coming back out of the pandemic and getting more back on the forefront of what we're doing when it comes to mental health outreach. No longer doing as many events where folks could shop for their therapists, because a lot of therapists that I'm working with right now, they're booked and busy. But they also know that I'm not going to recommend another client or someone that these therapists can help at the moment until they're free, because I believe that when it comes to folks who reach out to the work that we're doing or anything else, they deserve quality work, and you're not going to get quality work from someone who's overworked. And when it comes to the therapists that I do work with, or folks in the wellness space that I do work with, I ask them, hey, are you taking time for yourself? I ask them, hey, have you been good? Sometimes I just pick up the phone to check in. I got like 4 folks that I got to have lunch with, 4 folks that I got to like catch up with. And as much as the business end of things and what we've done is very important, you always got to remember that this starts and stops with people. So, imposter syndrome's a real thing, but overcoming the difficulties life is going to send your way is also just as real as the thing. With every goal that you have, that goal is an opportunity for you to fail, and it's an opportunity for you to succeed. But no matter what, it still comes down to the choices that you make within the things that you do. So right now, me having 70 new customers that are interested in everything that we do, I don't count as that as a success unless someone makes a purchase or someone hits us up or reaches out to me personally or informally and says, hey, I heard you do this, that, and the third. Do you have any events that are coming up that we can attend? Do you have any people that we can follow that can help me get into wellness? Do you have any therapists that I could pay attention to that may want to give me advice on this topic, this topic, this topic, and this topic? So I want to end this conversation that I'm having with everyone, especially when it comes to believing in yourself, when it comes to believing in the product, when it comes to putting yourself in the forefront. And I just want to remind everyone that at the end of the day, you too can be a bad bitch. So thank you to all the homies that pulled up today. Thank you for everybody who came through, learned hopefully a little bit, learned the right things, learned the wrong things, figured out what they like and what they don't like. And then thank you to everyone that supported us over the years. When it comes to doing these drops, when it comes to working on the messaging, when it comes to getting these campaigns together, when it comes to looking out for the brothers and the sisters, it's very important to understand that not everything you do is going to be tailored to the folks in terms of the overall population. But at the end of the day, I always ask myself, are we serving the community in the best way that we can? So this has been another episode of Housekeeping. I appreciate everyone that's pulled up. Shout out to homies. You got support, so always appreciate that. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And in the meantime, just take care of what you need to. Got a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving and the holidays come up, and I know the holidays aren't really the greatest time for a lot of folks. So if anybody ever wants to reach out or chat, just let me know. It's your boy Juice Jones from Get Home Safe, and thanks for coming through. Peace.